Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips says her world has been turned upside down amid fears for her personal safety after Elon Musk called her a rape genocide apologist on social media.
The world's richest man has been using X, Twitter, his platform, to attack the Labour government for refusing demands for a new independent public inquiry into the grooming gang scandal. Elon Musk has even gone as far as to say that his own English grandmother, who grew up in and around Liverpool, might have been abducted had she lived in modern Britain. Well, Elon's father, Errol Musk, the daughter of the son of Cora, rather, has defended his son's intervention in UK politics, and we're going to speak to Errol in just a moment for an insight into Elon's brain. But I'm very interested, Errol. Well, firstly, in your analysis of your own son, Elon, is he a genius or completely bonkers?
Of course he's a genius. That's ridiculous. What a stupid question.
Well, people have asked if he is in fact a madman, and certainly there's a degree of madness in being a genius. When did you last speak to him? When did you last spend time with him?
I last spent time with him at a launch of Starship a few months ago. I live far away from him. I'm, 10,000 miles from him. But I was with him at a launch of Starship a few months ago. And, we had dinner and then we had lunch and so on afterwards. OK, because he's described your relationship in terms which suggest at times it's been very challenging. But how would you describe your relationship with Elon right now? Very good, very, very good. And as good as a father wants it to be. I mean, I don't want to interfere in his life. I mean, I'm just his father. I'm there to, give him advice if he asks for it. That's all.
And does he ask for it?
Yes, over the years, of course. Many a time, from when he was a small boy. Yes, of course, we are very close. We think very much the same. And, it's as good as I could ever want it to be anyway.
There'll be lots of our viewers wondering why we should be listening to Elon Musk, a South African-American citizen, giving Britain advice on who should be our Prime Minister. What do you think he is trying to achieve? What's his goal? Is he looking to be a politician himself? Would he like to be British Prime Minister?
No, I don't think he needs to take a few steps down, I think he's all right where he is. No, look, the situation in England now has interested all the English-speaking people around the world. There's no question about it. I mean, this idea that they're not even going to worry about a national inquiry, if you've ever read any of these transcripts, you would go crazy. Your mind would go boggled, because if you read some of these transcripts that are out there now, you'd go mad. Any normal person would go mad. It's incredible. And to tell me that the Labour Party are going to vote against an inquiry, that's insane. No. We have to appeal to the Labour Party MPs themselves, because they're in the majority, to come to their senses. What's been happening in England is unacceptable in the extreme.
In the last few hours, the last 24 hours, you've been making headlines here in Britain by claiming that there is a direct comparison between Tommy Robinson and Nelson Mandela. I would think there'd be rather a lot of people in Britain and in South Africa who would find the comparison between Tommy Robinson and Nelson Mandela deeply offensive. What's the reason why you think they should be compared?
Nelson, I agree. Tommy Robinson is a far nicer person than Mandela was. Mandela was a murderer. He killed many people. He maimed many children. He bombed people. He caused deaths. He was sentenced to death for it at the time. I was a schoolboy in my last year at school at the synagogue in Pretoria when he was sentenced. And when the sentence was changed to commuted to life imprisonment, people were crying outside the synagogue, crying in the streets, weeping because they wanted him hanged. Do you understand? They wanted him hanged because of the terrible things that he had done. So you need to wake up about
So now
Mandela.
I'm confused, because if you're comparing Nelson Mandela to Tommy Robinson, that's a bad thing then.
Well, you know, I'd say Tommy Robinson hasn't done anything near what, not even remotely, done anything near what Mandela did, you know. But what I was actually trying to convey to people is that people who are imprisoned by the opposition, such as Mandela and the many others, Nehru, Ho Chi Minh, and you can go on, were all imprisoned and then eventually became leaders of their country. And that's, if you're a student of history, you have to be a student of history. You can't be a, you know, comic book reader. Then you would immediately understand what I'm saying. It's people like that that eventually will come to the fore and, you know, quite often bring their country back to where it should be.
I think a lot of people will find that utterly bizarre.
I'm doing my best here to understand what you are saying, but I would have thought Nelson Mandela, who is somebody who, when he was out of prison, sought to unite South Africa by overcoming racial divides, whereas Tommy Robinson is currently in prison for contempt of court because he sought to divide our country through untrue racial slurs. Doesn't that make them diametrically opposed?
No, it doesn't. It's different times at different times that you're talking about. You can't really compare. You have to look forward and say, what is Tommy Robinson going to be in time to come? If you compare them at this early stage, then Mandela was a vastly worse person, society-wise, you might say, than Tommy Robinson. I don't see anybody weeping about the things that Tommy Robinson has done. But, at the moment, I'd just like to say that you need to get this government moving. They need to release Tommy Robinson. They need to release the people that posted on Facebook and so on, or at least have their cases reviewed. 3,000 of them in prison at the moment. It's insane what's happening in that country. And once you read these transcripts of what's being done in England under the auspices and control of Starmer and I believe at the time Gordon Brown, it's insane. It's unbelievable. It's completely unbelievable to read these things. I can't read it. I can't show them to the women in my family. I can't show the transcripts to them. It's out of the question to let the ladies in my immediate family read these transcripts. It's out of the question.
I understand what you're saying, Errol, but the reason that there are transcripts is because there were trials and people have been convicted of these terrible crimes. I mean, we need to, just make sure that we're not allowing a lot of misinformation. I want to ask, you referred to Nigel Farage. I wonder if you've talked to Elon Musk about the breakdown of his relationship with the Reform UK leader, because I think just about a week or 10 days ago, there was a suggestion that your son might donate a huge, sort of politically game-changing amount of money to the Reform Party. Now Elon has said that Nigel Farage is not fit to be leader of Reform. Is there any chance that they could make up? Have you had that conversation with Elon about Farage?
Yes. Look, there was a feeling, initially I was the first one to say that I think Farage is somebody I don't think he's a bad person. He's not strong enough to be the leader that you need at the moment. You need a really strong leader, somebody who's prepared to, ultimately be crucified, not lose the odd cigarette or something like that because of the pressure on him. No. You need somebody who's prepared to really put themselves on the line. You're heading in the wrong direction in your country. And so initially I just said he's not a strong enough person. But then Elon followed that up by saying that he's just got to go. And then I was, asked, and I thought, well, look, it is England after all. We are trying to be fair people. We're English, and so we would perhaps give him a second chance to see what he can do, because he's got to do something about this inquiry is the first thing. And then the second thing is getting Tommy out of prison. And the third thing is getting these people out of prison, all these or relatively innocent people out of prison, or innocent people, really.
Have we not got time to ask Errol whether he thinks it's a good idea for Donald Trump to use military force to invade Greenland, Canada and Mexico and Panama, just while we're here,
No, of course not.
Are you sure?
But it would be No, of course not. But it would be very interesting to get a referendum going on in Canada, perhaps, As far as Greenland is concerned...
How would it go in Canada, do you reckon?
Pardon?
How do you think it would go in Canada if you had a referendum on America taking over Canada? I wonder what the Canadians would say.
Well, you know, I mean, the people of Canada, you know, they would benefit greatly to be part of the United States. You know, obviously, I mean, you know, if you go to America and you happen to be in the northern areas of the United States and you go up into Canada and you see what it's like in Canada, and then you come back to America, and then people say to you in America, what on earth did you go to Canada for? You say, I don't know.
Right. Errol Musk, thank you very much indeed. I fear we're drifting slightly from the core issues for our audience.
But it's getting more and more
if we're discussing an independence referendum in Canada.
Interesting.
Errol Musk, thank you very much indeed.
Fascinating.